Hello, welcome everyone. Fantastic. Great to have everyone joining in. Have your video on if you can. We love being able to see you. We are super excited. Welcome to today's workshop. Honestly, this is going to be a really fun hour. We have a lot to cover. First of all, I would love everyone to pop into the chat where you are in the world right now and what do you do creatively? All right, where you are in the world and what do you do creatively? Just pop that in the chat just as we gather. We have more people joining us as well. Welcome if you've just stepped in. You will notice you are on mute today, but would love you to have video on if you can. Now, I am in Richmond, Virginia. I may not sound like I'm from Richmond, Virginia, and that's because I'm from New Zealand originally. Some people are very surprised when they hear that, but I am based in the US, based in Richmond, which is great, originally from New Zealand. Here we go. People are starting to share in the chat where they are. So, yeah, keep adding into the chat there. Where are you in the world, and what do you do creatively? Right, we can see where people are. People are starting to type in there. Nice. And just have a scroll through in the chat and just see if there's other people that are also in the same place as you as well. Amazing. So creating artwork, spread joy from drawing to sewing, New Mexico. Amazing. Got Missy there in Youngstown. I love it. Amazing. Lettering artist near Louisville. Nice. Painter, Lockhart, Texas. I love that. Greenville. There we go. Arizona, watercolor art. So I love that. This is amazing. I love seeing where everyone's based, and we've got people who are literally based all over as well. This is so fantastic. There we go, New Zealand. Oh, actually, you're saying I'm from New Zealand, right? I was thinking, have we got a New Zealander here on the call today? Awesome. So, everyone, have a bit of a look as we get underway. We've got more people who have just joined us as well. We're just popping in the chat where you are in the world and what you do creatively. We have lots to cover. So, I'm going to hand over to Becca, who's going to do an introduction of herself. We're going to do a full introduction of the group, and then we're getting underway. Over to you, Becca.
Yeah, hi. It's good to see everyone. My name is Becca. I'm located in Austin, Texas. It's very sunny and very warm here. I'm a muralist and artist. I have a degree in painting, and I used to primarily focus on my studio practice with more traditional paintings on canvas. But I always wanted to get into murals for years and years. And then when the pandemic happened, I was in lockdown in my house, and I was just looking around, and like I have lots of walls. So my very first mural was an at-home mural festival on Instagram. And then after that, I started painting for murals for friends and then family, and then friends of friends. And now I primarily focus on murals for residences and businesses and everything in between. And I started with Logan last summer in the Lifetime Creative Program, and then I went on to the Accelerator in the fall.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Becca. That's fantastic. And then over to you, Christine, for your introduction. And then if you can do that brief introduction of me as well.
Hi, real quick, I'm so excited to see people from Ohio. Yay. So I'm Christine Parker. I'm an illustrator and surface pattern designer. I am from Cleveland, Ohio. It's like part of my personality. Um, I make playful, engaging art for really fun brands and businesses. And I specialize in illustration, lettering, and patterns, mostly for products and packaging, um, and work with small businesses and brands across a variety of industries. But lately, I have found that I've been working with a lot of businesses in the fiber arts industry. So like knitting pattern designers and crochet artists, indie yarn dyers. So that's been really fun because I'm a knitter. And like Becca, I got started with my art in the pandemic. I was bored and I got an iPad and started drawing. And people were like, "You should sell these. Like, you should make stickers and T-shirts and things." So I was like, "Okay, sure, I'll do that." And then it just evolved from there. But after a couple of years, I still wasn't like I wasn't making very much money, and so I I was like, I need help. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I need somebody to hold my hand and guide me. So I joined the Lifetime program with Flammable. And that was last year, like Becca. And now I'm in the Accelerator program. And everything that I have learned from Logan has helped me pivot from like those low cost product sales to really high value service offerings. And now I work with like all these really cool clients, like I was saying. And I earn thousands of dollars per project, which is just crazy to me. And so like leaning into the boring business part of running a business through the flammable programs has really been a lot more fun than I was expecting. So I'm excited to share my experience and hopefully help you guys earn some more money too. And okay, so let me introduce Logan also. And I'm going to read this so I don't miss anything. So Logan completed his entrepreneurship master's and had his own creative business for over a decade. He's worked with universities and creative programs around the world, helping creatives to learn and grow. He's worked with hundreds of graphic designers, muralists, illustrators, visual creatives throughout North America and Europe, helping them to grow their businesses using his wealth of business knowledge and experiences. He's helped clients leave their toxic day jobs to finally build the businesses of their dreams, and has taken freelance creatives from earning $1,000 a month, or in my case, a couple $100s a month, up to $5,000 a month, and then on even to $25,000 a month. So that's Logan.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Christine. And we're going to be diving into a lot of the stuff today that both Christine and Becca have shared around their journey, and some tips and strategies that can really help everyone here as well. So super excited for that. And just to add a couple of things to what Christine mentioned as well, the people we work with are actually a range of stages, right? So yes, we've got people who are very early stage. Maybe they're trying to really get it going, or maybe leave a day job, trying to get beyond that like few $100s or not really earning much to actually making this a real thing. We also work with people that are like, hey, I've been doing this for a few years. Yes, I'm earning money. I'm earning thousands of dollars from it, but it's not sustainable. I'm burning myself out, or I need to open new revenue streams. And actually, I want to increase my revenue as well. We occasionally also work with people who have been doing this for like decades, right? Running their own business for decades, and they need the support for more balance, sustainability, and often revenue is part of that journey as well. So that is a little bit more about who we work with. As Christine mentioned, it's very much people who are in the visual creative space. Most of our clients are in North America, so primarily US and Canada. We have the odd client in Europe as well. We also have Paul Corgan from my team, from the Flammable team here today as well. Paul is an amazing part of my team. He is going to be doing a bit of an introduction in a moment, and then I'll also talk through some of the freebie calls that we're going to be giving out as part of today's training too. So Paul, over to you if you want to do a bit of an introduction so everybody knows about you as well.
Yeah, thanks, Logan. Great to be here with you all. And yeah, I'm the creative business specialist from the team. I also help out with social media and stuff like that. I'm based up in Maine too. I think Kelsey said you're in Maine too. Cool. And so, yeah, I have a small business up there doing Christmas trees, and I kind of come at it from the business perspective. And yeah, really looking forward to connecting with some of you on these calls that Logan's going to talk about.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Paul. That's fantastic. So yes, one thing that we are doing as part of this call is we are going to be giving away free coaching calls with Paul from the team. These are free calls that we'll be sharing about right at the end of the workshop. So make sure you stick around. Anyone who wants to get on one of those free calls, we will be putting that link in the chat so you can find a spot. It's a really powerful thing, and I hope you can make sure you get on one of those calls as well. Okay, so we've got lots to cover. Let's dive in. So the first thing I want to say is well done for just being here, right? Well done for showing up. Like that actually is really important, because the people who grow, who take action, who move things forward in their creative business, they're the people that are showing up. They're taking action, right? Part of that is showing up here today and committing to your own growth and learning. That's a really important part of it. As I mentioned, action is also part of it as well, right? Going from this idea of kind of like ideas and theories, and here's what I could do, and here's what I'm preparing for, to actually let's get you moving forward. Let's get you promoting yourself, doing the marketing, growing, learning. This is a really important part of it, is the action piece as well. This is going to be really important in today's workshop. It's also something that's incredibly important in the programs when we work with people, getting beyond just kind of the ideas, the theory, and actually moving into taking action. I used to do a lot of teaching with university programs. I did that for a whole number of years, right up to a master's level. The reason that I ended up doing that contract work is because universities often struggle with that side, right? They're often more based on the theory, not that kind of that real world side. Implementation is a really important part of it. So that's something I've always brought to my work and my teaching. That's why the universities had me on board for quite a number of years as well. And it's a big part of how we help people is getting beyond just the ideas. Let's actually get things implemented as well. Okay, part of action, those of you who have your camera on, raise your hand if you would like $100 cash. Who wants $100? I can see everyone. It's like, yes, me. Were there any double hands there? Anyone got two hands up there? There we go. I love that. So look, we're going to have some fun with this one today. It's really just a great way to encourage some interaction, right? We love a full-on chat. The chat is going to move today really fast. We all won't be able to keep up with it. Look, what we're doing is the most interactive person on the call, we are going to just send $100, right? It's pretty simple. Be interactive, video on, interacting in the chat, sharing thoughts. Like, we're going to keep an eye on that. Celeste, who's here from my team as well, on the video there today, is going to be the one that will be calculating that as well. So she'll let me know near the end of the call who that is as well, because I won't be able to track it with running things here as well. So look, we're just going to have a bit of fun with that. It's a great way to just encourage some interaction and to make sure that you actually stick around to really lean in and learn as much as possible and lean into taking action and showing up. This is a really important part of it. I love it. Okay, if you have just arrived on the call, by the way, we've had a few more people have joined us. Make sure you do pop in the chat where you are in the world and what you do creatively. You are in the right place. This is a workshop all about crafting your unique offerings that I'm running under my Flammable Entrepreneur brand. And we have some special guests here as well. Two of our clients, Becca and Christine, as well as Paul Corgan, the creative business specialist on my team. So crafting your unique offerings. When I say offerings, I'm talking about products and services, right? Figuring out what you can do that you can sell, right? The creative things that you can sell to other people. This is an incredibly important part of growing a creative business. Whether you're early stage or you're further along, understanding that you need to get this stuff right is absolutely essential. So I get to have this unique position from working with a lot of people over so many years. I get to see what works and I get to see what doesn't work when it comes to what people are offering. Myself and Paul also speak to a lot of people as well throughout the industry. A lot of people that, yes, we don't work with, as well as the people that we work deeply with as well. So we just get to see what's working, what's not working, especially when it comes to those offerings. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be sharing a whole bunch of these learnings with you as part of this workshop. The thing is, if you have the wrong strategy, right, like you're using your amazing creative skills in the wrong way, it actually doesn't matter how hard you work. You're going to burn yourself out and you're not going to have success, right? And sometimes I talk to people who are absolutely phenomenal at what they do. I look at their creative work and I'm like, wow. And I speak to them and they're like, yeah, I'm not making any money. And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, what are your offerings? What are your products and services? And they share with me and I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. Right? It's not going to work. It doesn't matter how hard you work or how good you are. You've just got the wrong setup here in terms of how you're delivering those skills, right? Where you're putting your focus in, right? Yes, you might have a creative craft. There's a lot of very talented people out there, but we need to make sure that they've got the right setup in terms of their offerings. Yes, marketing is a part of it, right? Absolutely. You've got to market. You've got to get yourself out there. However, a big part of it is that you must have the offerings right first, right? Using your creative skills in a way that people actually find value and they're willing to pay for that value. So this is an absolutely essential piece of it. First thing I'm going to talk about is identifying your ideal client. And as we go through these different teaching points, I'm going to be getting Becca and Christine to share some of their experiences from this as well. So you've really got that real world application of, yes, the things that we are talking about today and how people have actually used this different information to grow their business and have their experiences as well. So first one here, identifying your ideal client. Absolutely essential, right? If you want to, or if you try to market to everyone, then you end up marketing to no one. This is absolutely essential. And right, we talk to people who are like, I would work with anyone, right? Absolutely, right? Anyone that comes to me. Well, the problem is if you market yourself in that way, everyone's going to feel like you're not for them. Right? You're just kind of generic create for people. Even if you are really open and creative and you're like, I could do that. I could do a mural. I could paint this here. I could create stickers. I could do this. I could do that. I could do menus. whatever it is, like you might be really open to that. The problem is that you won't come across as fitting to people who are actually coming across you. So this is really, really important. Not just anyone can be your ideal client. Actually, we need to target that down. And the key here is actually really figuring out who needs and values what you do. Right? What you do, they need to make sure, you need to make sure there's the need and there's the value for it. And you've got to partner that with people who are willing to pay for that. This is a very important part of it. So a few tips in terms of finding those ideal clients. Number one, if you are already in business, it's kind of an obvious one, but a lot of people miss this. If you're already in business, look at who you've worked with in the past, who you really enjoyed working with, and we want to replicate them. Right? We see this one popping up all the time. Even if you've just had a handful of clients, there's often clues in who you've already worked with in the past. And you might be like, okay, wow, I worked with this cafe and I did this thing here and they really loved it. Okay, well, cafes could be a really great ideal target market, a really great group of clients for you. Could be cafes, cafe owners, right? So actually having a look at that and going, okay, well, what have I done in the past? If you don't have clients yet, you're early stage, or you're like, oh, everyone I've worked with so far I didn't really like. Okay, well, another clue can be look at who other people are working with, right? Look around at other visual creatives and start going, how are they making money? What are their types of clients, right? You could go and even look on their website. Who are they marketing to? Right? Who do they have testimonials for and case studies? I'm not saying you contact those individual people. I'm saying this is giving you clues as to the opportunities out there for you as well. Right? And sometimes we kind of see people say, oh, but I want to figure out like the thing or the group of people that nobody is helping. Well, the problem is that probably means there's not really a market opportunity there for them. Right? Sometimes it's like, oh, but there's lots of competition in this area. Well, if people are doing it, it means there's opportunity in that space, right? So don't get pushed away if you're noticing, wow, everyone out there seems to be doing murals these days. Well, that means there's lots of opportunities for muralists as well. Another thing that you can do is just a brainstorm, right? You often need ideas. What are the options, right? So get a big piece of paper and actually start writing down, okay, who could those potential clients actually be that would value my work? And don't limit it to like what you want to do or who you would like to work with. Just go, what's possible? Because sometimes you might be like, Logan mentioned cafes. I don't think I'd want to do that. Okay, well, still write it down because that may lead you to another idea. Right? What if it was cafes? What if it was restaurants? Right? What if it was food trucks? It might start to actually spark some other ideas here as well. So doing a big brainstorm, we see this often as people actually say, they're like, I don't know what the options are. Right? They're like, I don't even know what the options are. Okay, well, actually paint those options out. Look at what other people are doing around you. Yes. What are the options for you? Start brainstorming and keeping an eye out for opportunities. Who do you have access to is another one to think about, right? Your own existing networks, people that you know from in your life. Like if you are a parent, well, your target market could be other parents, right? There could be a network that you're already tapped into. So really looking at your own past experiences, it could be hobbies you've done, people you're connected with, past jobs, those sorts of things can actually link you in with potentially the right people here. And then finally, I already mentioned this, but I want to say it again. You do also need to look at who has the money to pay for what you want to charge. Right? Because it might be all very well that like, yes, this person or group of people here, like they value my work, they have a need, but like, are they willing to pay you for it? They may or may not be. And this is where often businesses can be really great types of clients because often for them, it's about a return on investment as well. Really powerful stuff here. Becca, would love to hear some of your thoughts and experiences around some of these different items as well.
Yeah, definitely. And to touch on what you've talked about, I think if you don't know where to start or even if you're just stuck looking around at like your peers and who you admire, kind of what you were talking about, that's really helped me the most probably because I mean, just looking at even on Instagram, like other mural artists for me, I can look at who they're working with and then that helps me figure out who I want to look out for and who I want to kind of go from there. I mean, imitation is like the greatest form of flattery, right? But it's also effective. So, I mean, you can kind of see where other people are finding success, and then that kind of establishes the need, and that can lead you to where you're identifying target markets for yourself, and then you can reverse engineer what other people are doing from there. And like I feel like I'm like a little Nancy Drew. Like I tell my partner that I'm Nancy Drew sometimes because I'm sleuthing where things are. Like I'll be driving around town and I'll see a new mural like on an apartment complex, and then I can find the developer of that apartment complex and I can reach out to them and maybe get on the vendor list for an upcoming mural or something. So you can really, the sky's the limit when you start being curious and asking those kinds of questions into like who your potential client could be. And then I also wanted to say that, just show the work that you want to be doing, because sometimes you may not think it's obvious what you want or what you're capable of doing, because maybe like a non-creative might look at your portfolio and not see exactly what you think that is obvious because you think it's obvious. And then don't hold yourself back from taking that step. Like, for example, I think maybe in the past I have thought to myself, like, oh, I want a mural at like a restaurant, but I haven't had a mural at a restaurant, so I can't go for that. But then that's a circular problem because how am I going to get, a mural at a restaurant without going for it? Because, it's just a whole circle issue. So, there's so many ways to like mock up your work and make your work look good these days. And I'm speaking as a visual creative, but I'm sure that's, the same across the board in different mediums. So just don't be afraid to take the steps that you need to do to make your work look good and just go forward with the things that you want to do and the target markets you want to go for. And then lastly, I just wanted to know, Logan talks a lot about mindset, and I think that that's like one of the most valuable things I've learned in the last year, and that there's just ebbs and flows of business and ups and downs. And I'm coming out of a pretty slow summer, but I'm going into a faster fall. So, that's also just something to think about with your when you're identifying your clients and finding clients, that there's just ups and downs, and you just have to have the right mindset and trusting your gut and not taking clients that aren't the right fit. So just having those kinds of systems in place have been really helpful for me.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Becca. And, the really powerful thing here is getting to hear from Becca and soon Christine as well. We get the real life stuff of what's going on and the types of experiences people have had, right? Because yes, it's great talking about the different strategies and approaches, but this is the stuff that actually works. This is the stuff that people are out there experiencing and working through as well. And those of you that have been following the chat, people are sharing all sorts of interesting things there around their own target markets and some of their challenges as well. So all good stuff there. Feel free to keep adding things to the chat, everyone. What we are going to do, however, is we're going to take a moment to get everyone to share their Instagrams in the chat. I want you to grab your URL, not just grab the @tag. I want you to actually go open a browser, get your URL and pop it in the chat. This is a great way to get connected with other people. Celeste from my team is also going to put in our Flambeau Entrepreneur Instagram as well. And Christine and Becca are popping theirs in there too. So just make sure once you've dropped in yours, go through and open all the links of other people's and start connecting and following with them as well, right? Part of growing a business is connecting yourself with a supportive community. Right? This is so essential. It's one of the things I really love about the creative community, the visual creative community, is that it's a community, right? You have all these amazing supportive people, and just seeing everyone here chatting in the comments and chatting in the chat is so, so powerful as well. So definitely make sure. Also, having some new followers and new connections is always good for the algorithm as well. Right, so feel free to add into the chat. I can see everyone's popping all of the information in there, and everyone's got it. Everyone's putting their links in as well, which is fantastic. So thank you so much for adding them in. Okay, fantastic. Okay, from here, we're going to talk more about offerings, right? Another word for offerings could be revenue streams, could be services, products. What we want to talk about is the diversification of your offerings. So I sometimes say, like, the internet out there says, you need to diversify, you need to have lots of different offerings. And, there is some truth in this. The thing is, most creative people take it like way too far. They're like, wow, okay, I've got all of these offerings, right? And what actually happens is they get really overwhelmed. And kind of like I was talking about earlier, it kind of means that they're not really offering to anyone, they're offering to everyone. And they're saying, I can do anything for anyone. And they don't actually really attract the specific clients that they're wanting to work with. So what we do is we recommend that you have 3 to 5 areas of offerings. There's lots of ways to define this. This is a really important part of it as well. It's something that both myself as well as Paul talk to people a lot about, is going, hey, like, this is not about having like one offering. Like, okay, I'm a muralist and that's it. It's really going, okay, well, let's maybe have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 offerings, not 10, not one. Right now, the interesting reason is that generally we don't do one is because most people get really bored with that. Right. That's also the internet sometimes says focus on one thing. I don't really believe that because I've had years of experience from working with visual creatives who get very bored with one thing. Now, I will say some things can have many things within them, right? So we talk about murals. Well, murals you can actually break into multiple types of offerings. So yes, we do have some clients that primarily murals is the area, but they've got indoor, they've got outdoor, they've got chalkboards, they've got windows. There's a lot of different things within that they may focus on. But a big challenge that we see, we sometimes say to people like, what are your offerings? What do you want to offer? And they're like, okay, this, right? And they're like, there's like 20 things on there. I'm overwhelmed, Paul's overwhelmed, we're all overwhelmed, right? Actually narrowing that down is really important. You actually can do everything. You probably just can't do everything right now. There's also usually going to be a different subset of things to take your business to another level. If you have a day job right now, you probably don't want to focus on having 5 offerings next to the day job. But when you get out of that day job, yes, you can probably expand what you're offering there as well. Right. So this is really, really important to understand that 3 to 5 is, yes, a bit of a general rule of thumb within that. If you have children and you're caring for them as well, you also might want to balance these numbers as well in terms of time you have available for that. So one thing I do want to talk about today is one of my favorite topics. People who know me well will be like, oh, here we go. We're going to talk a little bit about what we call passive income. Right, passive income. So passive income is defined as many things, but often in the creative field, people define passive income as things like print on demand, licensing, maybe to some extent wholesale, maybe things like stickers, right? They're generally things that are much lower cost. You're selling them for a few dollars, sometimes even up to 30, 40, 50, even a couple of $100 sometimes. What's really interesting is that these are not the forms of income or the forms of offerings that are really growing people's businesses. Right? They're not the things that are getting people out of day jobs, getting them having 5, 10, 15, 20K months. It's just not those things. I'm not saying you can't do those things. What I'm saying is that it needs to be a lower portion of your energy because it's probably not the thing that's going to have big impact. Right? So what we're generally recommending is that you're actually doing things, selling things, product services that are at least $300. We're going to use $300 US as a benchmark here. Yes, 300 Canadian dollars, euros. I know they're all slightly different. It's fine as well. We're saying 300 minimum, just to be clear, right? Not around 300. There's a lot that you can do. That could be $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, right? We've even had clients who have done $20,000 projects. We had a client earlier this year who did a $120,000 mural project. It was not one mural, it was multiple in a whole project there. But just understanding that these higher value ticket items is going to be the best place to focus your energy and time. I have calls all the time. Paul has calls all the time with lovely people who are very good at what they do, very good at their craft. And they're like, I'm making $11 per month. I'm making like $100 per year. And we're like, what are you doing? And many of them say print on demand. I'm sorry, everyone, but the print on demand days are basically over, right? Yes, it used to work okay. We're at this point, we are basically saying to clients, we don't think you should focus any energy or maybe just a little bit of energy if you've already got something existing or you're really passionate about that, right? Yes, there's other areas that are a bit of a gray area. We have clients that do licensing and do make money from it. But once again, it's a smaller portion of their time and energy. If this is one lesson you take away from today, this is one of the really, really important ones. Okay, you need to be focusing on the things that can generate actual revenue and get to your goals, right? Because things that you sell for $3, $5, right? They're just not going to be the things that are going to put a dent in terms of making actual revenue from this as well. Now, I will get Christine to share some thoughts around this stuff soon because you've been through the whole journey around this. Just a couple of other things I want to say is that part of this, I'm not saying I wish it was this way. I love stickers. I think they're awesome. I'm just saying this is what we see, right? This is just the truth of what we see. I love prints as well. I love stickers. I think many of them are really interesting forms of income. This is just based on what we see. What we also see is how these lower ticket offerings burn people out and make people feel very discouraged and go, maybe I'm just not very good at what I do creatively. I'm like, no, it's the offerings that you're offering. It's the things that you're focusing on are just wrong, right? There's lots of reasons why those things are not working. One of them is it's very competitive, and these areas get more and more competitive every single day. Right. Also, you just need to sell so many items every single month to actually put a dent and get some decent numbers rolling on this. Christine, would love to hear a little bit about your experiences around this as well.
Yeah, that's so funny that you mentioned print on demand and stickers, because that's like where I started. And I said at the beginning that I worked for years like busting my butt to try to make, real money. And I like couldn't ever, I couldn't make it work. I was burning myself out trying to turn stickers into income. And it was really fun, but it just didn't go anywhere. So one of the things, and I think you mentioned this too, Logan, one of the things that I learned from the Lifetime program was how to, like you said, instead of trying to do everything, like focus and start with 2 to 3 like really specific high value offers and make them awesome and charge a lot. And what really helped me be able to like sell my services was creating service packages where I'm like, okay, you can buy this service, this specific service from me, and you get, this and this and this and this and this. And that, like having that all written out and able to send to potential clients made it so much easier to explain to them what I do and what I can do for them and how I can help, rather than like, I can make art for you. Like, let me draw you a picture. You know what I mean? So focusing on those like 2 to 3 really, really awesome high value offers, streamline those, and then like once that's easy, then you can add in more stuff. And I saw somebody in the chat like, I don't want to do just like one thing. That's so boring. I agree. So I started with merch, stickers and t-shirts and things. And I was like into everything because I have ADHD. I have an ADHD brain, and that brain wants to do this and this and this and try this and all these different things. And so like working through the flammable programs like really helped me to focus and to streamline those services and build a client base. And now, so like I started with the 2 things, and now a year in, I'm able to add in murals. I'm going to be adding that to my service menu in the next couple months. So you really don't have to, like, doing a couple of things doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be like stuck doing like the same boring thing over and over. I work with all kinds of different clients, like I said, in a bunch of different industries, and every project that I do is different. Every client needs something different, and that's been really fun to explore with them. And then to go back to stickers and like those low value, like t-shirts were one of my best selling items. I love making t-shirts, but like if you sell 2 t-shirts, they're $30 each. You sell 2 t-shirts, you make $60. And you're like, that feels like a failure. Like, I have $60 for all of this work that I've done. So then you're like scrambling to, try something else, a different product, a different design, a different sales platform or whatever. It's just like a never ending cycle. But I have found that like selling, 2 $2,500 design packages, like, okay, now we're talking. Like that feels like a different level of success. And I don't know. So those major high value offerings to me are a lot easier, even though there's only 2 or 3 of them, it's a lot easier to manage and to sell and to promote, and to focus on. It's not as scary. So yeah, that's my advice, is your 2 to 3 super high value offerings.
Thank you so much, Christine. Like, I can say this stuff, but everyone hearing that from you is incredibly important, right? Incredibly important as well. And I think, I was just reading through the chat there as well. There's some really powerful experiences people are sharing in here as well. And I will just read out one here, which is saying, hey, it's from Cortland there. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. So true. My poor little shop is such a struggle. Sales are so few and far in between. It's frustrating and constantly feels like failure. This is actually one of the biggest issues that I have with these forms of income is the feeling of failure, right? When I'm sure your work is phenomenal, right? And I'm sure it feels like it's not. You're like, well, okay, maybe I'm just not that good. This is the thing that Paul and I hear from people again and again and again. Yes, okay, making some money from these sorts of things, it's possible, right? As I said, we have clients that do these things. What we're saying is that it's not the core thing they focus their energy on, and it's not the thing that is really moving them towards their bigger goals of maybe it's going full-time in their business or getting to $10,000 per month and beyond, whatever their goal is. It's just not these smaller things. So it's not to say you can't do them. These are really awesome forms of income as well. So I love it, and thank you for all the great comments in the chat there as well. I did get your name right. That's great. I love that. Thank you, Colin. So, okay, what we're going to talk about next is connecting with your ideal audience, right? Actually finding clients. This is a really important thing. And just to be clear, this is like a huge subject, marketing. It's also something that most visual creatives are like, oh, marketing, sales, yuck. Right? Like it's a very typical thing. So if you're suddenly here going like, oh, I guess we have to talk about the marketing stuff. Yeah, that's a pretty similar feeling a lot of people actually feel in the creative space. Not everyone. You might be someone that's like, you know what? I love the marketing stuff. I'm like, that's awesome. Fantastic. It's rare. Okay. So one of the biggest problems in business, actually in all businesses, but definitely for creative businesses, is that not enough of the right people know you exist. Right? We've got to get clear on that. Not enough of the right people know you exist. It's one of the biggest challenges. So your work might be absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely. You may have figured out clarity around the offerings. That's great as well. Fantastic. Okay, well, now we need enough of the right people to know that you actually exist. Right? Huge problem, right? You might be phenomenal. Fantastic. You might have that lineup, but if people don't know you exist, you're not going to have clients. So the marketing part is absolutely essential to lean into and to grow into as well, to learn into. This is really, really important. So you need to make sure your audience is aware that you exist. There's lots of stuff that you can do around marketing. A few things I'll mention here. One of them is put out the work that you're wanting to attract. Right. So if you are wanting to do murals or you're wanting to do book illustration or book covers, or you're wanting to get into some sort of design, well, that's the sort of work you want to show on your website, on your Instagram. This is the sort of work that you're putting out there because that's going to help attract more of that work. Really, really important. Kind of obvious. Most people don't get the one right. And we were actually in one of our client trainings the other day, we were talking about this, and there's this thing that often people do is they put work out there that they don't want to attract. They're like, oh yeah, I had this nightmare client, I did this thing here, it's on my website. And I for some reason, I keep getting more of that sorts of work and opportunities. And we're like, yeah, it's because that's what you're putting out there. Therefore, what you're putting out there, you're attracting more similar, because people are like, oh wow, they do this thing, I'm going to contact them. So yes, if you're early stage, you might be putting a lot of work out there, seeing what sticks, that's fine. But often what you'll end up doing is narrowing things down as well. Another big part of marketing is building trust. I kind of don't like the word marketing, by the way. I like the words sharing and connecting, because that's what it really is. Well, part of sharing and connecting is building trust, right? If people are going to be sending you money, well, do they trust you, right? They need to know, like, and trust you to actually work with you. So building trust is an extremely important part of that. Do you have a website? Do you have an Instagram? Could they find you on LinkedIn? Even if you're not super active on LinkedIn, having a basic LinkedIn profile could help to build some basic trust, right? Do you have a website with your face on it? It's really hard to trust people who have no information about who they are, right? Most of you here, most of the people here, most of the people we work with, you're a solo business owner, you're a solo visual creative. I get that. Well, you are your business. So part of that, building trust through you, who you are, that often means you need to put yourself out there. Now, I'm not saying you need to go out there and start dancing on Reels or TikTok. Well, you can if you want. What I'm saying is that we do need you to show up. And that may look like, yes, an image of you on your about page on your website. Yes, that may look like having a LinkedIn profile with an actual profile photo. Yes, that may look like having you showing up occasionally on Instagram. You don't need to be on every single image. That's totally fine, or every single reel, but can you be on some occasionally? Because you build trust through you. People connect with people. Trust is a huge part of that as well. All right, so there's some really easy tactics for some of you here who may not have those things in place. These are good things you can do. Yes, you could go work with a photographer to get some photos, or you get a friend with a good iPhone, good phone camera to take some great images, right? These are things that you can actually do. And these are things that are incredibly important. Building trust, showing up as a real person is incredibly important. Yes, there's lots of other things you can do around marketing as well, and cold emailing and getting into, yes, social media, networking, partnerships. There's a lot of things you can lean into as well, but building trust is actually a foundation of all of them as well. Becca, would love to hear some of your thoughts and experiences, kind of more around that side of connecting with the ideal clients.
Yeah, well, speaking as someone who did not have a business strategy, let alone a marketing strategy like a year ago, like I think a year ago I was just refreshing my email with hopes and vibes that someone would reach out to me. And you know, I mean, I mean, we all deserve someone to reach out to us with a dream project, but in between those times we have to be more proactive. So because of this program, I've gotten very into cold emailing and email outreach, and I've been really leaning into that, and really like introducing myself to people because I didn't even realize that that was possible until recently, that I could like land into someone's inbox and just say, hi, hello, this is what I do. And that they might, and I'm so sorry, my computer's shaking because my dog is here. So that's what's happening on my end. Anyway, so yeah, so I really actually enjoy cold emailing because it kind of just opens up possibilities that I didn't, other than um, Instagram and in-person networking, it's kind of the best thing you can do for yourself. And Christine actually is a part of my like email outreach story because you inspired me, because I was very opposed to it at first because I was like, no, I'm not going to be doing this ever. But you got a client with cold outreach and you were floored by it. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I can do it. It doesn't sound that scary. So you inspired me to get into it. So so we do have fun. We do have you inspired me. So thank you for that. I don't know if you even knew that.
I didn't. That's really cool. I'm happy.
So yeah.
Amazing. I love that. It's so powerful to once again hear these things in action, right? Because you kind of hear these things online sometimes. We're like, oh, you could do this, you could try that. But to actually hear the stuff in action, really, really important. We're talking about cold email here. Yeah, it doesn't sound that exciting. I think we all think about like spam we'll get in our inboxes. This is strategies that actually do work. But yes, you've got to get the strategy right. What are you sending? Who are you sending to? All of those things are absolutely important to work out as well. We're going to talk more about niching down, right? Niching down is something else that we do here, and really thinking about, yeah, your services, your products, and, actually going, hey, okay, well, should I be offering 3 or 1 or 5, right? This is something that a lot of people actually find pretty terrifying, whether that's niching down in terms of their audience and like getting more focused as to who they're going to work with or their offerings, right? Because you're like, but then I might lose opportunities, right? Like, what if someone wants something else? Well, the truth is they probably will still contact you anyway and say, hey, can you do this thing? And you may decide, I'm going to do that thing, even though I don't promote that I do that thing, right? So you still get to decide these things, but ultimately getting more specialized is going to be really important. You can then be more relatable to their ideal clients, the ideal target market. We're talking about cold emailing. Who do you cold email if you work with everyone? I don't know, you can email everyone. Well, that's an absolute nightmare. What do you send them? What do you say? Right. So this is where niching down, both in terms of the target market as well as those specific offerings, is so, so important. However, a lot of people, they start wider. That they might be trying to figure out their offerings still, or they might be trying to figure out their target market. Starting a bit wider is fine. Over time, they usually will niche down as well. Part of this here is going to be experimentation. Right? Experimentation is going to be part of growing a business. It's something that we've worked with Becca, Christine, all of our clients on a lot, is that it's not always just, here's a strategy, do the thing your way. Well, actually, everyone's different. Everyone's got different offerings, different strategies, different personalities, different locations. There's so much variety here. So part of it is going to be testing things out, trying different strategies, figuring it out. Your first cold email you send or your first attempt at a networking event isn't necessarily going to go that well, but you're going to learn from it, you're going to grow, and you're going to actually get something from that experience as well. I was just having a look here at the chat. I do want to address this question here because I think it's a really important one, and Paul has addressed it already. But Antonia, you said, I talked to someone to take over my socials and prep marketing materials, charging $1,200 a month, something I can't afford right now. Any advice on what to do? And Paul has shared some bang on advice around this, is that, well, the truth is that this idea is pretty compelling, right? Pay someone else to do the thing I don't want to do, right? It sounds great, right? The truth is you need to own your own business. You need to learn these things because even if you did pay that person and it went well, as soon as you lose them, well, you won't know what to do. Right. So this is where actually you've got to lean in. You've got to learn these things. You've got to figure these things out. And yes, as you grow, you may bring on support. Absolutely. That is something you can do, but you can't do that right now. You could do it later. You need to know how to do those things. Otherwise, you lose them, you lose your business. Really, really important. You need to figure these things out. But I just want everyone to be aware. We have a lot of people who say, like, if I could just get someone else to do the marketing, if I can like find the perfect person out there to do that. Right. Well, the truth is those people do actually exist. They cost thousands and thousands of dollars. Right. And they don't know you. They don't know your business. You're actually going to be the best one to promote and market your business. But yes, there's going to be some stuff to figure out here as well. So I did want to share that one there because it is incredibly important. We've got, some thoughts just here around the niching down part. I know people have been sharing things in the chat around this as well. This niching down stuff, it's not easy, right? And that's actually okay. I want you to be aware that it takes some of that experimentation. Christine, would love to hear some of your thoughts around kind of that niching down part from your experience there as well.
Yeah, real quick, can you hear and see me? I lost internet for a second. Okay, cool. So I hate the word niche. Like I'm like as an ADHD brain with, my multi-passionate hobbies and whatever, like that niching down sounds like torture to me. But what I have found is that like finding my niche has been less about like boxing myself into like a really boring corner and more about just following what I love and being really authentic. So like I love crazy colors and I love wild florals, and so I've made that my art style, and I love doing product design and pattern collections, and so I made those my services. And I hate like stuffy professionalism. So when I show up, I try to be casual and fun and friendly, and all of those things has made it so much easier to both find clients that I really love, because in my ideal market, target market, and it's easier for them to find me because what I'm putting out is genuine. So like I can tell at a glance if a brand or business if we're gonna be a good fit or not. Like if they have like beige and gray brand colors, like we're probably gonna be a good fit. So like a wedding planner is not gonna come to me for to design like elegant formal invitations, because she would hate what I make. Like we're not right for each other. So but like that wedding planner's sister, for example, might come to me for like to design funny t-shirts for her band, or like concert merch for her next tour, like, and like that's where the niche is. It's been for me more about the vibes almost than like really specialization. But so like I know that I'm not for everybody, and that's fine. That doesn't scare me because I don't want to be for everybody. Like I don't want to work with uptight wedding planners and beige brands. Like what a snore. So and to add on to that too, like if a potential client, if I'm chatting with a potential client and they end up declining a project because I said a swear in a professional email, well, like, okay, good. My feelings aren't hurt because I just dodged a bullet. Like, you're not in my niche, and that's okay. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, the more what I've learned from this, going through this process and learning about myself and seeing like other business, other artists work on their businesses, is like, the more you are, like, the more you can pump into your business, like, that's where your niche is, and that's how you will attract the right clients. So, okay, I have a quote for you. This is brilliant. Write it down, okay? The people who are for you will be drawn to your you-ness, right? Okay. I'm the coach now, Logan.
I love it. This stuff is so important, everyone, right? Like, this stuff is so important, right? Actually being you. And it's also terrifying, right? Like, Christine's like, hey, yeah, I'm me. Christine's been through a journey around this stuff and has reached this point where you're like, you know what? Like, I want to work with who I want to work with. One of the beautiful things here, everyone, is that there is so many opportunities out here in the visual creative space right now. Right? Yes, it can feel overwhelming at times. Yes, it feels like everyone's doing it. Well, there is so many opportunities to grow a long-term creative business. There's never been more opportunities, right? Paul and I see this all the time. There's so many opportunities across so many different niches. There we go as well. The niches, that's a New Zealand, US different pronunciation. There's one, my wife is American, everyone. So we find these funny things that we say differently all the time. Okay, so what we're going to do from here now is we are going to, if we have time, we might try and cover a couple of questions, but what we're going to be doing is giving away free calls with Paul. Paul is the creative business specialist on the team, because the truth is that today, what we've covered, yes, you've all got some clarity, some learnings, these different things we've talked about. Often we see that people just need to go deeper. Right? They need more of that personalized support. We need to talk about the sales, the marketing. This is really just the tip of the iceberg today. So what we are doing is we are giving away free clarity calls, coaching calls with Paul from the team, from the Flammable team. We do have limited spots, but we are going to be dropping literally Paul's link in the chat very soon. And you're going to go find a time there for something in the next 2 to 3 weeks, right? I do have a couple of caveats because Paul is also really busy, and we want to make sure that we're respectful of his time there, because this is a free call. So a couple of things I'll share, and we'll make sure everyone's happy with that. First one is that we want you to be in a position where you want to learn, grow, and take action now. You're not just kind of like gathering information and, one day you'll grow, one day you'll start your thing. It's like, no, you're like, it is time, right? We are now into the second half of 2025. It's time to get moving, right? That's for you. Second thing, we want you to just be open, willing to share ideas, share about your dreams. Paul asked you about your dreams, your challenges. We just want you to be, a bit vulnerable as well. Basically, we want you to be coachable. This is really, really essential as well. And then the third one is just respecting Paul's time by committing to it, showing up on time, having a notepad, right? Being at your computer, being at a seat. Don't be in the car or holding the phone, right? Paul will get motion sickness. So making sure you're really respectful of that and that you actually do show up, right? Really important. If you're happy and you agree with this, can everyone just pop in yes or agree or something in the chat just to say their agreement to that as well? Yes. Lots of exclamation marks. Agree. I love it. Thank you, everyone. That is absolutely fantastic. On that call, Paul will also, before the call, we'll also get you to share a bit more about yourself too. Look, I've dropped the link in the chat there. The chat is actually moving quite fast, so I might need to pop it in there a couple of times. Go find Paul's link, find a time as soon as possible whilst everything we've talked about today is fresh, right? There is some times there for next week. Go get those times. If you try and submit and the time doesn't hold, you'll just need to go find another time. We do have a lot of people here live with us today as well. So please make sure you put that. I see the chat's already moved through. I've popped it in there again. So really, really important. Now, Celeste from our team will also be in touch with you before the call. in the next couple of days to make sure that you do fill in a short form just so Paul can prep for that call as well. It's really important you do that so we can make the most out of his time and your time there for that as well. If you did want to learn more about how we can help beyond this free call, you can mention that to Paul as well. And absolutely, he can take you through what the process can be around actually figuring out coaching, getting support within that as well, and talking about the actual program that Becca and Christine have been through as well. There we go. Amazing. Okay, we do have time for some questions, and then we've got to make sure we do that $100. Did anyone forget about the $100? Did everyone remember we're doing that as well? There we go. So Celeste is going to message me soon about that, but I think we have time for like one, maybe two questions. Paul, I'm going to pass this one to you. Which is a really important one, actually. We got a question sent in which said, what are typical types of $300 plus offerings, right? These valuable offerings we're talking about, the not kind of those passive income things. What are some examples? Paul, would love to hear your answer to that.
Yeah, I think someone popped this in the chat as well, like as a question, because it is hard to figure these things out if you don't know what they are. And so some examples of like some of the valuable offers that our clients work with. Murals is one that we came up quite a bit today. Illustrative branding and packaging is really cool. I love that. Logos as well, that kind of stuff. Editorial, illustration or design, graphic design of all sorts. If you can do anything graphic design, there's a lot of opportunities there. For social media, Christine brought up weddings. That's a whole industry, maybe not for everybody, but that's good. Event illustration, that sort of thing. And it is often client and service based, but we find a lot of our clients actually really enjoy it. Like it's a way you might think, oh, client work, but they actually turn out to really enjoy a lot of these offerings and figure out things that work for you. And it's not to say, again, that you can't do print on demand, you can't do these other things, licensing, et cetera. It's not the core focus that's going to probably move your business forward.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Paul. That's absolutely fantastic. Another question that we're going to dive into here is someone shared, how do I actually figure out what I can actually offer? Obviously, we've talked a little bit about this on the call today, but kind of the first thing is really looking at what are you excited about actually creating and doing the big brainstorm about that as well. Even if you're not sure if this is like something people would pay for or something that has value, right? Okay, well, what are the creative things you could create? Do a big brainstorm and actually do a bit of reflection around that. Then, of course, you've got to start to narrow that down and go, okay, well, what are people willing to pay for? Is there someone out there already that's selling this thing? I talked about this earlier. Sometimes people go, oh, I want to do this thing here. I want to sell this thing here. Oh, other people offer it already. Oh, disaster. I need to figure out something else. I'm like, no. That's this great sign because it shows that there's a demand out there. There's a need for that thing. Right, really, really important. Yes, we all love to be original and creative, but the truth is that probably most things you can come up with, probably someone else has done before, and that's an okay thing. That's a beautiful thing to really recognize as well. There's other things you can absolutely do within the space here, but we've talked a lot about this. Paul just mentioned that too, $300 plus. What can you do that you can charge at least $300 for? You can spend a lot of time building a shop, getting into passive income type things like print on demand. You can spend a ton of time on that and it not to work, or you can spend the time on things that do work, these $300 plus offers. Once again, we said $300 plus, not around $300. Better to be even higher, right? Is there something that you can do for $1,000, $2,500, like Christine mentioned? What about $5,000, right? Sometimes it's really getting out of your comfort zone around that. One thing that some people say is, maybe I'm not good enough to do this thing. Well, question those assumptions. Sometimes we're not really good at realizing our own skills, and maybe there's some brushing up needed. If you're like, oh, murals, this is interesting, this could be a new area, but I don't know how to do murals. Well, if you're a creative person and you have a creative background, you may be able to learn those things in just a few months to at least get your first paid projects. I'm not saying you're going to be the world-class muralist yet, but you can actually start getting experience with actual paid projects as well. Absolutely love that. Okay, so going through the chat here. So Husky, you are the winner of the $100 there as well. I will just get you, if you can actually message us on Instagram, or you can email us there as well. We'll do a round of applause there. There we go. Love that. Very, very good. So yeah, Husky, yep, you got it. Popped your name in the chat. Just get in touch with us and we'll send that across to you, which will be good. So congrats for that. We loved the interactivity. Honestly, I would sometimes look at the chat and there'd be like 30 new messages. I was like, I only looked away for 2 minutes. Wow. So just thank you everyone for all the interaction today. Look, I would love every single person here to fill up Paul's calendar. Paul's like, oh gosh, there's going to be a lot of calls here. But I really want to make sure that everyone who's here, who agrees to those terms of, yes, willing to show up, be there, be at a table, be a bit vulnerable, be open, share, and ready to grow. Make sure you book that there. We do not do these very often. We would love to give out free calls all the time, but we just can't. So just make sure you've got that. I can see already a whole lot of people have booked them, which is fantastic. If you can't find a time, there are times in September as well. You can scroll forward on Paul's calendar there. I know next week's ones are pretty much all filling up already, but there is times in September. If you can't find a time, feel free to DM us and we'll see if we can find a time for you on that as well. This has been fun. What I want to do as we wrap up, I want everyone to share a takeaway into the chat, right? Share a takeaway into the chat. What have you learned today? What have you found interesting? Both Christine and Becca have been sharing so many great things from their experiences as well. What stood out, right? What stood out? If anyone can write down Christine's quote, there's bonus points for that. Here we go. Pop in the chat. What did you learn today? What was interesting? What was helpful? Really, really important. I love it. And as we start to wrap up, Paul and I will stick around for a few minutes. Just we'll turn our video off, but we'll be in the chat for a few minutes afterwards as well. I'm just loving seeing what people are starting to share in the chat. So I'm going to share a few of them. There we go. The people who are for you will be drawn to your business, yourness. There we go. I love it. Sherry, right on it. I love it. Of course, I'm on the right track. Just because others are doing it doesn't mean you shouldn't. Yep. And an act is a good sign. Create a package of services to bring me that $300 minimum offer size. Yes, Cortland, absolutely. Husky sharing, what can I do that will pay at least $300? What is working for other artists already? To continue managing my socials. Offer a service package. There we go. That was some great advice there. Absolutely. Heath sharing, focus on doing what you really want to do rather than over diversify yourself so you can pull all the energy to your favorite work. Not enough of the right people know what you're doing. Yeah, that resonated with you. That's fantastic. I'm sure lots of people heard that as well. So have a good read through of the chat. There's going to be some more great things. Pop it in there if you haven't yet. And as I said, Paul and I will stick around. This has been fun. This has been a really fun one today. Thank you for their interactivity as well. Becca, I really appreciate you. Thank you for joining. Christine as well. Awesome. Take care, everyone. I'll drop Paul's link in one more time if you've missed it in the chat to make sure you've got that booked in. And then I look forward to hearing how those calls go as well. Take care, everyone. Ciao. I got to say that was an incredibly fun one. Hey, I'm just jumping in here. If you are watching the recording or you've watched the recording and you've reached the end, firstly, well done. That's absolutely awesome. Look, the free call with Paul is open to you as well, right? It is going to be open for the next couple of days. If you weren't able to make the live, but you did watch the recording, well done. I absolutely love that. I would love you to make sure that you book that call in with Paul. Do book it in as soon as possible. We have only got some limited spots. If you go back to the email that you got this link in, that should have all of the information there where you can actually go, okay, I'm going to get that booked in. So go check that out, go grab that link and get it booked in. As I said, there are spots there for a time in the next couple of weeks. Look forward to hearing that and how that all goes. But yeah, thank you so much for going through the recording and actually getting all of the details and the action items as well. Awesome, everyone. Take care.